Hello and welcome back. This is the Gamer 2.0. Today we're going to be continuing on and hopefully finishing the first DLC from Fallout New Vegas, Old World Blues. So all we really have left to do is to head up to the Forbidden Zone and take out the final boss. So I'm actually going to do this the alternate way rather than the normal way. That's just because the alternate way is much easier for a melee character. Okay, Garrett. I did not even check to see if my inventory is good. It's good enough.
Cessation of hostilities complete.
And it looks like we got another one over here.
This one looks pretty tough.
And I got some more over there too. Just a ton of these guys to deal with.
Fighting over.
Alright, so that should be all the Robo-Scorpions. For now. And let's see what else we got over here, because just over here is going to be the last location, which is the Mysterious Cave, and that Mysterious Cave houses the legendary Bloodfly, which I really don't want to deal with right now. So I'm going to go ahead and bump my speech all the way up, and actually I'm going to leave that a couple of points shy. And that's just so that I can push my barter up to 70. And let's see here. What do I want to put my last couple of points into? Nope. Let's do speech to 99. Because I think for pack red it's only 70. It is only 70. But first thing I'm going to do is get burden to bear. And that's just because that's going to give me an additional 50 pounds of carry weight. And the only reason why I'm thinking about leaving this at 97 is just because I can read one book to basically top that off to 100. And I can use those other 2 points somewhere else. So, I guess I can put 2 points into survival, just to increase by the tiniest of margins the amount of health I recover when I eat or drink anything. But now we can head
Ready,
over here.
steady, fighting.
Or we would if didn't have more Robo-Scorpions to deal with.
You won't escape! Stop that! You'll damage the hull!
Starting combat. Just kidding.
Alright. Got that. And so I am now at
That's all.
340 maximum weight. And once I finish this DLC, we should be able to jump up to 350. And then in a couple of levels, I can start picking up some extra perks.
Attention visitors! Combat experience!
Time to fight. Technically, it's impossible to overdose on painkillers.
Initiate your search and destroy protocol in the name of all that is Mobius!
Yeah, so unfortunately,
Looking for a weak spot? There are no weak spots!
fortunately this guy's pretty big, and he has a tail laser that causes radiation damage, not just regular damage. So, running around trying not to get shot is
Bad guys dealt with.
the best way to really kind of deal with him for now.
Nobody ever notices me,
And I'm gonna turn
but they
off that
notice the
Pip-Boy light.
Pip-Boy light.
And I'm gonna try to sneak around a little bit as his back is turned. Target
It
drones.
looks like the target drones got activated and... Oh, how cute! They're engaging the X-42 giant robo-scorpion. Let's see the shrapnel fly!
Alright, I need to pick this lock real quick. Alright, let's go this way. So luckily those drones are going to provide a small
This is a
distraction.
pre-recorded attack message indicating my desire to commit violence on
This
you.
one looks pretty tough.
Alright, some nice right away. Extra medical supplies, some Rad-X. No other terminals up here.
X-42, attack in the name of Mobius!
Was that all?
So, what I need to do is I just need to get behind him, because that is where the
This one looks pretty tough.
Bay computer is. There.
Fighting over.
Alright, so go ahead, activate the turret system. Nope. So. Alright, that looks like I got it. Alright, let's get these turrets firing at
Ready, steady,
In the
fighting.
name of Mobius!
Can't get over there.
X-42, attack in the name of Mobius!
That's all.
Crush them with your pincers!
Alright. Resurrection, no. But it is 4 correct, so it's not gonna be that one. That one's closer. So it looks like the TION is part of the correct code. That's got too many matching. Too many matching. Bill. Expiration. There we go. Alright. Initiate
Is this thing
registration.
on? This is Mobius, Dr. Mobius. We're initiating some kind of emergency test shutdown. In 5, 4, as in forbidden, 3, as in tree, 2, as in two Brutus, 1, as in The emergency overload is initiating.
Alright. And that takes care of him. Alright, so let's just kind of quickly clean up some of this extra stuff out here. There's the audio sample. Some more recon armor, okay. Extra mentat, it's always good. Take some ammo. Some extra pre-war money. Free LAER.
Starting combat. Just kidding.
Nope. Alright, I think I've pretty much cleaned this place up. But I can still search the drones over here. Just kind of pick up the remaining pieces of ammo off of them. Alright. And should be good to go and talk to Mobius at this point. And before I go in, I will go ahead and let's see here. We repair that. And I'm actually gonna take a mentat. Although I don't think that's gonna give me enough to max out speech. It does not. And it's just because there is a speech check in here that I kind of want to pass, just because it makes the conversation a little bit easier. But I can actually drink some wine, and that should, yep, get me up to where I want to be. So that evens out my intelligence loss from the wine, but increases my charisma. Yep. And I like how this basically like just looks like exactly what the think tank was operating in.
Hmm? Oh, hello there. You are there, aren't you? Forgive my confusion. So hard to tell these days. You seem familiar somehow. I'm guessing, you're here for your brain, perhaps? It's just up there. Such a nice brain, young, very bright. Little hard to see you. Can you walk into my left, right FOV cone? Ah, that's it. You're coming into focus nicely.
Is that better?
Depth perception is a problem with this old monitor of mine. Went black a while ago. That's old age for you. Should look at getting the visual nerves reattached. It's just that the right eye would see the wrong things. The flying tortoises were the worst. Would you care for a mentat?
Thanks.
I love mentats. Delicious and smarty. I have all sorts of amazingly science-terrific thoughts and ideas when those chalky tablets are zipping through my biogel. I forget them all not long after, though, especially with the data constipating my memory core. Afraid binary streams might shoot out my chassis. Had to start using the dome floor and walls here to inscribe equations, although I've somewhat lost track of where they start and end.
You aren't exactly what I was expecting.
Really? That implies preconceived notions, theories, and a hypothesis about this meeting? Please extrapolate. What was I supposed to be like? After all, it might be worth a cognitive realignment if your theoretical Mobius is better than I.
Why did you steal my brain?
Oh, a variety of reasons. You're something of a homily. Anomaly? You're really quite special, and not in the cranially challenged way. You see, you are the most successful brain extraction experiment ever performed here at Big Mountain. A victim of your own success, as it were. If you were to go back with what your brain knows about the procedure, well, your brain could be popped back in and you could walk right out of here. Can't have brains moving around of their own volition.
Alright. Exactly. I want my brain so I can leave.
Now, that seems to be rather hormonal of you. Flight or fight response, you know. Hard to cut that out completely. Your brain is here, safe with me. We chat over mentats.
I need my brain back.
Do you? You seem fine without it. And does it even want to go back with you? Maybe you should ask it. It's quite independent, has all manner of opinions. Tell you what, I'll leave it up to your brain. If it wants to go, then fine. If not, well, you should respect its wishes.
Alright, it's another free level up right there. Well, I'm curious about some things.
Oh, curiosity. I experience that less now that I know everything. Or maybe it was when I found out some unpleasant answers.
Alright, so I need 75 repair to repair his monitor. Time for me to go. Alright, so with that level up, I can increase repair up to 65. And should have a Fixing Things magazine in here. Let's see here. I do. There we go.
I'm having the most peculiar feeling of déjà vu right now. That's French for, déjà vu, I believe. Have we met before?
I can't fix your monitor, but if you're getting ghost reception, I can fix that.
The ghosts aren't real? That changes everything. Why, I can save my computing power for other perceptual impossibilities. Please be my guest. The receptor is there, and the side-switching wobbly bob, just turn that. Good, good, better. Oh, yes, that feels wonderful. This is even better than my afternoon mentats break.
Alright. So now that I fixed that, it's just a small, nice interaction with him. You don't seem aggressive. Why broadcast threats to the think tank?
Oh, I was probably tripping hard on Psycho when I sent that. Had to work myself up to it. Not usually violent, except when I am. Then, watch out! So many chems, such varieties. Whenever I take mentats, I can feel my entire chassis breathe like a big spherical lung. As for the Psycho, sometimes get the chem dispositories in my tank all switched up. Go in the wrong tube. Still, served its purpose.
Well, I'm still curious about some stuff. So, Can you tell me about your Robo-Scorpions?
Well, every scientist needs an army. Mine came to me after these rather large scorpions kept coming in from the desert, like poisonous frosting. How scary, I thought. But they had survived when nothing else had. Perfect candidates for improvement as a reward for their tenacity. Then I thought, what if they shot energy bolts and acted as walking eyes and data-drained computers and acted as bullhorns? Then I made them bigger. Then I thought about custard. I do so love custard. Or was it mustard? Mustard custard. I miss sugars and salts.
Wait, sounds like you built the Robo-Scorpions. Issued threats to keep the think tank occupied.
Did I? Maybe I did. Can't have them leaving. Some reason for it. Ethics or, conscience? You and your brain are quite alike. I'm sure it knows the raisins better than I do.
Alright, everything you told me doesn't add up. Your plan, even your name, Mobius.
Dr. Mobius. Rather catchy, isn't it? It's my name, and my new name overwrote the old one. This name's as real as you or I, although I believe your brain expressed similar incredulity at the nature of such an appellation. Someone's been watching too many old-world science fiction movies, it said. I believe it meant me. I must admit I have a vulnerability for holotape fantasies of planets and robots and all that is forbidden. As for the name I was born with, like the think tank, we were all reprogrammed to forget them, take on new names. It enforces the recursion loop in our perception programming.
You reprogrammed their names as part of a recursion loop? What, to trap their processors?
Now, trap is a rather harsh word, like excrement. Not an inappropriate word, but still rather harsh. But, yes, I did take some liberties with their programming. It's all right, they don't remember. I certainly didn't until you said trap, and then I said excrement, and then...
Well, why did you trap them?
The radar fence to keep the think tank hemmed in wasn't really enough. They keep testing things. They would have found a way to disarm it. I suspect I have Plan C's in place, but I may have coded myself to forget them, just in case. Probably very dangerous, lethal, or worse. So I had to do something else to keep them occupied here. Or as you like to say, trapped. I prefer to have several Plan Bs in case the A's fail.
I don't have enough intelligence. Keep going, I want to hear the rest of this.
Dr. O, which is actually not his real name multiplied, since you can't multiply his real name in the first place. Ouroboros, Klein, they have all forgotten themselves. And not only themselves, but the world, sense of time and history. All that is left is what's here. I reprogrammed their chronometers, geometers, and cartography programs. This is now their world, here, Big Mountain. It was a merciful lobotomy, really, thinking back. They were my friends, but sometimes they would take things too far. And the world isn't ready for that kind of too-far thing-taking. That's my professional opinion, anyway. And I am told I was once quite professional.
If you lobotomize the think tank, why terrorize them?
Well, it's simple. Despite their many failings, they are rather bright. They are the think tank for a reason. That I didn't change. Without something to distract them, make them afraid, they would simply deduce what had happened. And when they start deucing it up, then you came along, the final variable solved. They saw that their world was larger than they perceived. Bacteria, finally able to see its host.
But there must have been other signs of a larger world.
There have been other visitors to make them doubt their perceptions, but you are the one who dialed back their monitor micromagnifiers. You were irrefutable proof that there was a world outside. And then there was the whole brain fiasco, which forced me to take steps. See, your brain had a special kind of wrinkle, a uniquity that they had never thought to try in all their countless escape attempts.
Cranial injury from the attack outside of Goodsprings?
Yes, very good. I should have Mentats ingest you instead of the other way around. Mentats. In any event, you showed up at the think tank, and because you had suffered a cranial injury in just the right place, bullets in the head are usually much more fatal, and yours was a light case of bullet headitis. But it was enough for the autodoc in the sink to change its programming to fix the problem, and the brain extraction technology for once worked. That gave the think tank the knowledge its brains couldn't possess. With that knowledge, the procedure can be reversed. If they obtain that procedural data, they can use it to mush and modify their cranial cells into hosts to slip past the radar fence. I'm sure of it. And once they're off the reservation...
Alright. Well, we can talk to him a little bit later once maybe some of my alcohol wears off and my intelligence goes up.
Hey,
But as for now,
I do so love integers.
pre-war books, Dr. Mobius's gloves, and Dr. Mobius's scrubs. Alright. A whole bunch of free ammo. It's all good. So, I do actually really like Mobius's characterization because he's just kind of the only one that kind of knows what's going on, but he doesn't want the rest of the world really to have to deal with the insanity
I do so love integers.
that is the think tank. Well, before I finish looting this place, let's talk to my brain before my alcohol wears off. There's my brain.
Well, well, look who finally dragged themselves in out of the wasteland. And where have we been, Crawling through pits of radioactive muck again?
I don't know why my brain sounds so intelligent. I'm only like intelligence of what, 6? And that's with like some alterations from other boosts and stuff, so it's should be around more average intelligence. I definitely think it would have been more interesting if they would have done like, if you have like a 9 or 10 intelligence character, your brain sounds really smart and is really arrogant about it. Whereas if you do like a 1 or 2 or some like low intelligence build, it would probably be funny if it was just kind of like really dumb and like had a hard time like articulating stuff. And then if you're in the middle, it just kind of talks like a regular person. But missed opportunities, I guess. So, are you my brain?
Ah, lovely. Figured that out, have we? Would you like a cookie?
There's no need to be sarcastic. Meeting your own brain is a slightly odd event.
Yes, well, believe me, the opposite is equally true. Good lord, have you bathed at all since they pulled me out of you?
Yes, because running around a crater full of bizarre science equipment, hygiene is a top priority.
Well, I see sarcasm hasn't eluded you. Fine, perhaps now isn't the best time, but it's the principle of the thing.
Why are you such a dick?
Well, that's a fine how do you do. Me, a, quote, dick, unquote. As if I'm the one responsible for the way you carry on gadding about the wastes. I'm not the one that makes us clamber around Technus-infested ancient vaults or go charging off to New Vegas on missions of ill-conceived revenge. And have we forgotten who got us shot in the head and buried in a shallow grave? Hmm? Do you think I enjoyed that little moment?
So this is kind of a question of like the brain versus the soul kind of thing, because as the player I'm kind of like operating the soul of the character, whereas the brain is more of like the decision making of the character themselves. So it's like, is it my fault as the player or is it the brain's fault? Which when we get shot in the head at the beginning of the game, we don't have control of the character yet, so it can't be our fault. But the brain, it's also not really the brain's fault because we were put into a bad situation outside of our own control. Oh, come on, that stuff's fun.
Fun? Fun? Is tetanus fun? Is rickets? What about sepsis, huh? Enjoy that, do we? The things you do with our body are suicidally dangerous, and if you could silence your glandular impulses, you would hear me screaming at you!
Don't you want to be reunited? I thought you'd be happy to get back into my head.
I'm not going to lie to you. The prospect is definitely not that appealing. Look at it from my perspective. Here I have peace, quiet, and safety. Well, barring the odd rogue scorpion. In your head, I've got poison, radiation, grisly injuries, and biological functions. Do you know how much more you can get done when you're not constantly looking for places to urinate? It's quite a lot, I can tell you.
So I think for this, I think this would have been a better argument for things like the brain constantly controlling like all the bodily functions, not just the ones that you're consciously aware of, such as, you know, like running your digestive system, beating your heart, sending all the necessary impulses even while you're sleeping. I think that would have been a much better argument for like why it doesn't want to go back, because it doesn't have to regulate all those processes. But as it is, I mean, like, I guess like when it's coming down to it, where it's like telling you about, you know, the things that you consciously have to think about, I mean, I guess that is a small point, but it's not really as much of like a point as, you know, regulating the body even when you're not actively thinking about the things that you do, such as, I mean, even simple things like the movement of your hands. You know, it's there's a lot of complicated muscles that has to like move in very specific and contract in very specific ways to get your hands to function the way that they do, even though as we, you know, have gotten used to operating our own bodies, it's become much easier to operate things like, you know, like your hands and things like that. So, but let's see here. But what about the good things? What about the cool breeze on your cheek, the smell of food, love?
Overrated biological feedback. Believe me, you only feel that way because you've got all that meat. Oozing hormones.
Isn't it true that you only feel this way because you're lacking those hormones?
I suppose you're right. That does call certain assumptions into question, doesn't it?
So, we're at an impasse. You can't feel what I feel, and I can't think the way you think.
Indeed. Quite the conundrum. How do you suppose we resolve it?
So this is kind of the classic feelings versus logic kind of thing. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You definitely want to have logic to move you forward, but you also want feelings in order to be more creative, spontaneous, think outside the box, be able to kind of really do things that you wouldn't normally even think of, just because it is something that I feel that I can do something different. I think that I can do something different, kind of things. Where when all you're doing is just thinking about stuff, you don't really have like a set course of action. Whereas if you're making movements, you have like a constant flow of motion to where you're not only actively thinking about it, but you're also actively pursuing something that you want to get done because you have the need, you have the feeling of wanting to get it done. So I think we have to trust each other and acknowledge that we aren't complete if we're separated.
I suppose there might be some advantage to that, yes. There's a chance that the reintegration would create some improved synergy between us.
So what do you say, Brain? Join me for some more wild adventures?
Well, I suppose you've convinced me well enough. I'll rejoin your body if that's your final decision. Unfortunately, before we get to that stage of the proceedings, we have a problem. Even if I could settle myself back in your skull and reconnect all those pesky nerve endings, Dr. Mobius doesn't have the tools here. We would have to make use of Dr. Klein's lab, and I rather doubt the brains are inclined to share.
Well, then let's go make them share. Come on, Brain, it's stomping time.
Oh, lovely. We've reached the mindless violence portion of the program. Tell me, what exactly are you, and I use the word loosely, planning?
So, this is all funny just because it's all based on what your what your preferred weapon is. Well, I'm going to show them even a video screen can get a black eye.
Not much of one for the high-tech approach, are we? Well, I suppose we'd best get on with it.
Alright, if the think tank won't hold up their bargain, we'll make them. Let's go.
Right! Look out, think tank! This brain is coming out of its jar! I suppose now that we're reunited, you'll want to fill your torso up with those other meaty parts the think tank took from us. Personally, I think your upgrades are quite a bit better. But now that I'm with you, the Sync's autodock can plug them back in no problem. Right then, off we go. Klein will be in for a nasty shock when he realizes the pacification field won't work on a mind and body reunited.
Running out of floor space for my calculations.
Alright, so I can't remember what the perk for reintroducing the heart is, but I know that the one for the spine is not as great. Or no, the one for the spine is actually the best one, because that is the reinforced spine, which gives you the bonus to strength for an additional +1 for strength, making me gain a total of 10 strength altogether. Which is great.
Electrons attached to the neutron. The neutrons attached
I
to
don't remember what reintroducing the heart
the
does.
meson. Meson's connected to the...
So I'm just going to kind of finish looting this place up. Making sure that there's no more books or anything in here I'm going to want to take back with me. Science scrubs, okay. fixing things is worn off. Another LAER, okay, well, it's gonna be good for fixing up one of the other ones that I have that's slightly damaged back at the sink. Cigarettes, carton of cigarettes, more flour, more cigarettes. Alright. Grab electronics. Take that pre-war money though. Extra bottle caps, it's always nice. Some more money. Alright. So I got some drained microfusion cells over here. Pre-war money. Alright. Another proton axe, okay. So kind of going back to Mobius, he's definitely the most creative out of the bunch. Just being able to kind of create things that are very interesting or kind of out of the box, such as like the Robo Scorpions and stuff. Just kind of getting the inspiration from.
Are we being watched?
Rad Scorpions that just kind of come out of the Mojave into Big Mountain. Alright, so let's see here. There's another Fixing Things magazine, so didn't lose anything for fixing up Dr. Mobius. And should be good to head back to the sink and get myself all repaired. Yeah, should be all good to go. That turret's a little spazzy right now, but that's okay. So dealing with this guy is a rather major pain if you don't use the shutdown trick. But you have to basically have 100 science, because if you have anything less, you can't access the terminal to unlock it. And actually, if I remember correctly, I think he irradiated me pretty heavily. Yeah, he did, so let's go ahead and fix him right away. And some food and water should be helpful, so there's some purified water. Probably drink some Nuka-Cola just to kind of get my sleep down. And let's see here. So, spore plant pods actually don't give me any food. That's interesting. There we go. Alright, so we can... Light is off. I don't know why it showed up like that. Hey, sorry about the smash cut. Game crashed on me a couple of times. For some reason, it doesn't like me fast traveling from the Forbidden Zone. So I had to run back and do all of that over again. Luckily, though, I pretty much did everything exactly the same. Activated the target drones, activated the turrets, and then initiated the shutdown. Talked to Mobius, leveled up in the exact same ways. So the only thing that's going to be different is basically just kind of the random odds and ends that spawns in the containers, because it randomizes that. So whenever I open up the container, it can be something completely different than what I had gotten before. I still did all the same story beats, went through, talked to Mobius, did the exact same conversation with him. And so now we're back at the same. And now that we're back, I had a couple of things that I wanted to do really quick. Such as put away some of the stuff that I had gotten from inside Dr. Mobius's lair, And I also wanted to pull out Father Elijah's advanced LAER because I'm going to repair that up. And I'm also going to drop off Archimobius' scrubs and assign to scrubs.
Ooh, baby. Let's turn off the... You've been seeing the other
And I actually want to switch on
lights and
the mood lighting.
turn on the lights.
And talk to the
Greetings, citizen.
get him to process all those pre-war books. Go ahead, come back here, and drop off all those blank books that I just picked up. And then I'm gonna come back here and just quickly...
Might I be of service? Very.
No, I don't need anything repaired. Actually, I might as well repair before I forget about it. So let's go ahead, repair that up to perfect condition. Repair this proton axe. Repair the inversal axe. And then I'm actually going to sell both of those. That's just because I don't really need them anymore. Just most of my robot fighting is basically done. And I'm going to keep the other LAER. Oh, don't want to keep that one. I'm going to keep the other LAER just in case I need to repair something else for some reason. Plus I also have the X2 antenna, so I can actually use that if I want to fight robots, just because it does bonus damage against robots for some reason. Alright, looks like that's everything. And do I have anything else that I want to drop into the chest? Some duct tape and flour. Some Wonder Glue. Alright. And let me go ahead, throw some of my items into the refrigerator. And I don't need to be carrying around all of this food. Alright. Looks good. Let's go ahead and sell some stuff.
Might I be of...
Alright, so proton axe, universal axe, all the throwing axes. Let's see here. So I do want to see about possibly picking up some extra stuff. Combat armor is good because I can use that to repair the stealth suit. And then let's just kind of sell off all of my extra ammo. Okay, so luckily all the stuff that was up top, I thought I was in the ammo area, but all the stuff that was up at the top was just ammo anyway. So there we go. Alright, looks good. And I'm gonna go ahead and
You require some.
put both of my body parts back in. So, with the heart back in my body, I'm less resistant to poison, only 50% resistant to poison, and robots are somewhat confused. They're no longer confused all the way. 25% less likely to score a crit. But now healing items, such as chems, are twice as effective. So plus 50%.
You require.
It's pretty good, especially with building kind of a little bit more tanky.
Right.
And let's go ahead and reattach the spine. Alright, and so with the reinforced spine perk, my torso can be crippled again, but my strength and my damage threshold bonuses have both been doubled to +2 for each. Alright. So I think that is good. And I think I am ready to go and have our final conversation with the think tank. Alright. Got my brain in hand. Let's go ahead and have a conversation with these guys.
The lobotomite returns. Our lobotomite. Has Dr. Mobius been denominated into scrap metal and voice module parts, as we hoped?
Alright, I found my brain. Now you and I are gonna settle some things.
I recommend watching your tone with me, lobotomite. Now, your brain. Hand it over, or we'll extract it again.
Alright. Not handing my brain over. There's some things we should discuss.
And what could we possibly have to speak about? You have the brain, we have the technology. All you must do is surrender. With it, we can finally leave this place. I cannot tell you how boring this place gets, chopping up the landscape and everything in it. And we have so many questions to ask your brain first. About this Mojave place. A fertile testing ground for our experiments.
Alright, so this is actually a speech check that I kind of enjoy. Just because you get to kind of play the bad guy here. You think I am the lobotomite? No. My skull houses the brain of Mobius.
That is the most insane thing I've ever heard. There's no way Mobius would condescend to step inside you. Besides, there's no way such a thing could be accomplished. It's impossible.
I'm short on the medicine to be able to say this. But nothing is impossible for science. Masons, lasers, atoms, brainwaves are all at my command.
You speak the truth. And the decibel variation in your voice, it is Mobius. How dare you breach the think tank? And what do you want here?
I offer a deal. Stay here, stay put, and heal. I'll let you live.
That's no deal at all. There's a whole world beyond the crater, filled with ideas and possibilities. We could have escaped, seen it all for ourselves, tested it, prodded at it, made it squirm.
I will permit you to do this for me.
Partner with you? My foe? My rival? My foremost critic? I have a strange sensation that I would like that. How odd. Very well, partner. The think tank is at your service as long as you do not destroy us.
Alright. So with that, I can now leave the think tank.
As it had been in the years before the Great War, Big Mountain, the Big Empty, became home to one of the brightest minds of the 23rd century. The Courier watched over the Big Empty for years to come, caring for it and keeping its discoveries safe until they were needed to help others, which had always been Big Mountain's purpose. Past the laboratories and science, it had always been intended as a place to build the future of all mankind.
The Sync Central Intelligence Unit was impressed by the amount of exploration the Courier had undertaken. Facilities believed lost, destroyed, or ones that had simply gotten up and walked to new locations had been rediscovered by its intrepid new master. Internally, the artificial personality debated as to whether it preferred the old management to the new. and concluded that the courier's thorough approach to research and investigation was admirable and worthy of its respect.
Dr. Mobius continued his research undisturbed in the Forbidden Zone. As much as he had attempted to create better Scorpions, he tried the same with humanity, with considerably less success. These failures didn't bother him overmuch. Once the rush of mentats wore off, he forgot he had failed in any event. After all, the bright young mind who had come to visit him in the Forbidden Zone had already exceeded his expectations.
The sink atop the dome bustled with the voices of a small town, constantly chirping, arguing, and snarling at each other. Still, this all happened productively in the interests of its new owner. The Sync Central Intelligence Unit discovered, despite its inversion code, it was comforted by the sense of community the other personalities gave it.
The Biological Research Station, obsessed with seeding everything in sight, requested a transfer to the X-22 Botanical Garden, so that it might, in its own words, sensually fertilize the garden's smooth contours. The garden sent back a polite refusal, saying it had prior commitments with a vault it had helped infect before the war.
The book-chute continued to devour all seditious materials until it nearly choked on a paperclip. It adamantly maintained it was a Chinese paperclip, and the whole thing had been an elaborately orchestrated assassination attempt. Whatever the reason, it slowed down for a while, carefully appraising each document and clipboard that came to it.
The light switches continued to bicker and flicker.
This persisted until the day someone dropped a flashlight in the sink, and the two of them united in their hatred of the Showboat. One of them eventually transferred to the Lightwave Dynamics plant, and began a long, unrequited affair with one of the holograms.
The sink continued to ruthlessly scrub any particulate matter that came near it. Eventually, it gained access to the Magneto-Hydraulics plant and nearly flooded all the Big Empty in an attempt to scrub the crater clean. Once it learned of the innovative toxins plant, however, it gained new purpose. It sought to develop antitoxins to flush into its drains and counteract the poisons bleeding into the soil.
The toaster continued its psychotic spree, reducing all appliances in range to scrap electronics and spare parts. After one of its more psychotic episodes, however, the other Sync personalities decided enough was enough and dumped the toaster in a bathtub. Sparking and hissing, the toaster swore its enemies would rue the day when they had bread and no way to toast it.
Muggy did his best to collect coffee cups, although in his quest, he accidentally trapped himself in Higgs Village. It might have been the end for poor Muggy, except he found it peaceful there, tidying up the kitchens of the think tank professors back when they had been flesh and bone. Well, except for Dr. O, who was an asshole for having created Muggy in the first place. Muggy left O's house deliberately dirty, punishing the dishes and cups that lived there in blind revenge for serving Dr. O.
Blind-eyed old Jefferson eventually discovered a new sound. Silence. It only made him more filled with the blues than before. It was rumored by the other personalities that he had a brief fling with the light switches. Although he forgot their names much too often and was soon left in the dark as punishment.
Autodoc, always gentle and methodical, kept sewing up the courier in all the right places when the skin split open from repeated wear and tear. The Autodoc was just glad to have purpose again. It heard its simpler brothers and sisters who got shipped to the Sierra Madre were bored out of their skulls in that toxic, dead city. In time, the Autodoc found a way to deactivate the Y-17 trauma harnesses, releasing the corpses they had held prisoner for almost 200 years.
As the courier ran through the X8 facility multiple times, the computers analyzed the test subject's movements. Rather than performing a superficial observation, they realized the subject barely knew what communism was, or even what a high school was. This confused them for a time, until the facility finally realized that its research had succeeded. So it let its cyber dogs out into the wastes to help protect small communities from physical aggression rather than communist propaganda.
The infiltration program in X-13 felt spent, having repeatedly upgraded the stealth suit until it could upgrade it no more. It felt warm, fulfilled, and a bit sluggish. It realized not long after, the stealth suit had left it without so much as a note on the nightstand. So the infiltration program sent out robo-brains into the wastes, looking for its wayward technology. It eventually found Repcon HQ and set up a new research center, testing and murdering fiends who kept breaking into the facility.
The courier, organs intact, continued onwards, a little less heavy of step, but with all the organs in the right places, as they should be. After all, brains can develop a life of their own when left to their own thoughts, and the courier's brain was more clever than most.
Dr. Klein and the think tank remained alive, unaware of the world outside. They looped through their daily routine, none the wiser about the world beyond. Although perhaps wiser was the wrong word. The world outside belonged to the courier. And if anyone would shape it, well, the courier had already called dibs.
There is an expression in the wasteland, old world blues.
It refers to those so obsessed with the past they can't see the present, much less the future, for what it is.
They stare into the what was. Eyes like pilot lights, guttering and spent, as the realities of their world continue on around them.
Science is a long, steady progression into the future. What may seem a sudden event often isn't felt for years, even centuries to come.
In the times following the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, however, old world blues took on a new meaning.
Where once it was viewed as a form of sadness, nostalgia, it became an expression describing the potential for the future.
It can be easy to see science as evil, technology unchecked as the source of all ills, all misfortunes.
With the courier at the helm, science became a beacon for the future. There was old world blues, and new world hope. And hope ruled the day at Big Mountain.
We could say more, but the stories in the Big Empty speak for themselves. Now armed with the transportal Ponder, the courier could return to the dome at any time and crack open the secrets of the Big Empty one by one. The Sync sat vigilant, waiting for its master to return, shoes covered in Mojave dust. Only one road yet remained, and it was one the courier had to walk alone.
I've got the big brain perk now. So my head can't be crippled, which is rather nice because I don't get the concussion effect anymore whenever I have a head crippled injury. But I'm only 10% resistant to addiction, and my damage threshold is improved by 10%. So, and then I've also got the transponder, which allows me to kind of teleport back and forth between. Alright, So we now are at level 32. So managed to get enough points there to give myself a level up. So let's go ahead and buff up a couple of things here. Ooh, a skill point. I'll just throw that back into survival as well. And I do want to get the implant GRX, but if I take Pack Rat instead, I can further reduce the weight of lightweight objects, which is actually pretty good. So I'll go ahead and I'll take that. So yeah, so now everything weighs half as much if it doesn't weigh very much to begin with, so yeah, that's much better. I don't know why I'm carrying around bubblegum. I'm gonna throw this bubblegum back into here. Just because bubblegum doesn't really do very much in terms of healing. Right. But that should do it for this episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you so choose, and I look forward to seeing everyone in the next episode.